a bang. All the mass and cars now, with your bag it up. Light up my card with a sweet one bliss. Someone flicks me a bag it up. Say, oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah. It's a full strong, yeah. Oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah.
What's going on, people? Welcome back to the Stay Weighed-In show, presented to you by iBoxingHub in association with our sponsor, D-Rock Clothing. I'm joined by Ray as always, but today we got special guest in the building. People, if you don't know this man, he knows his boxing better than a lot of people do. Ashanti, how are you, man?
I'm very well. All the better for speaking to you guys. Thank you for the intro. Yeah, great to be on as always with you guys.
Listen, today's episode is all about Alexander Usyk. It's all about Tyson Fury. But before we do, quickly a word from our sponsor. There we go, guys. D-Rock Clothing. Use the promo code iBoxingHub24. Get yourself 40% off. But with that being said, we're going to go straight to you. Usyk, Fury, the rematch. I know where your head is going. I know where your heart is going, and I'm sick of it. But Alexander Usyk, coming into the rematch, is there anything he needs to do to change Europe at all?
You always that's why Usyk's the best, because he always comes in better than the last. I think he's gonna look back at his performance. There's certain things he was getting caught with, you know, as much as I think I might have given the first 3, potentially 4 rounds to Usyk, but they were close rounds, and then Fury took over from about 3 to 6. Here's the issue. Before the 7th round came in and Usyk took over, Usyk was getting caught with a lot of dangerous uppercuts, which I'm sure weren't nice. He had a good poker face, but if you watch back on that fight, there's a lot of time he was getting caught with an uppercut where it was just like, that did not look nice to have that landed on his chin. And furthermore, it's good to have a good chin, but you never know when your chin's going to go. And I'm sure he's smart enough to know that as he gets older and thinking to himself, I need to avoid that, because yeah, my chin held up this time, but as I get older, that punch might just put me out. So I think he's gonna look back at his fight. He seems like an analytical person. His team seems on point, and he'll go there, clean up what he needs to. But then I think he's gonna become not bloodthirsty, more spiteful this time, because the ref didn't allow him to finish him. And I think Usyk will absolutely, if he sees a chance, he's putting Tyson away now. Now that he knows he can get dropped, he's gonna go in there for the kill, I think.
So this is the thing, and I'll go to you, Ashanti, soon. Tyson's kind of said it. You give me your best shot, but you didn't put me away. And look, Tyson...
Asterisk. The ref saved him. Do not do that. We all
gave him the count. No, the point being is...
No. Let's be fair. When Tyson got bounced off the ropes is when the ref should have counted. The first time, he didn't. Tyson got bounced off the ropes again the second time. He didn't count him. It was only when Usyk was literally about to punch this man to the floor where the ref came in and said, I'm finally going to do my job and count. And I was just like, this has to be one of the... Imagine if Tyson, because we've got to give him credit, incredible recovery ability. If Tyson came back and knocked out Usyk, I would be furious if I was Team Usyk, because you stopped a man from finishing him when you then went for the count, where you had 2 chances before to go for the count, and you didn't give him the chance you didn't take the opportunity. So why is it when the guy's about to get finished that you finally step in and it's like, oh yeah, I should do my job now? So for Tyson to now be like, you could have finished me, like, stop it. We all saw what happened. This is the same guy that said Happy New Year in May. It wasn't even Chinese New Year to be saying that.
Hey, listen,
Stop it, stop it, stop it.
This is the hater Ray that I've got to do with.
There's
Ashanti,
no hate. It is observation.
well,
It is literally objective observation.
it's definitely not objective. It's definitely not objective because
You
I've
lot
never seen
sound
this
like Team
passionate.
Drake out here, man.
I've never
Stop
seen
that.
you this passionate about other fighters that you are fans of that struggle in fights. Shanti, coming to you then, like in terms of Usyk, obviously we can appreciate his greatness and what he's done in terms of boxing, but how much adjustment does he realistically have to make in this fight against Tyson going forward?
I think he does need to make some. As Ray mentioned, I was worried in about the fourth or fifth round. It looked like Tyson was just really in his groove. And if you're an actual physical giant as Tyson is, I know they say he's 6'9", but whatever he is, he's a big man. You don't want a man like that who can box both ways and is so slick. Just get in a groove, because before you know it, you've got 3, 4, 5 rounds banked, and you don't know how to change the tide or the momentum. But I think that Usyk is just so mentally and physically gifted in terms of boxing IQ that he'll know that there are things that, like Ray said, that didn't work, lots of things that did work. And I think that he might try and stick it on Fury relatively early. I think he's going to use that kind of patient footwork and the elite hand speed and his evasiveness. Then once he starts landing that left hand, or if he thinks he can, I think he's going to try and back Fury up and make sure. I mean, I have to agree with Ray. I think to say I took your best shot and you didn't knock me out is a little bit embarrassing. It's like if I was out on a Friday night and someone knocked me down and I'm there as they're like walking away laughing at me going, yeah, well, I'm still awake, mate. Like, it's a bit embarrassing.
Leave it out, man. I'm all for promotion, but please, let's stop entertaining his delusion.
Make it make sense.
The delusion was funny before when he was winning. When you are not winning, and we've seen you literally get your ass whooped, you're a big enough name. It's okay. Just come back better and fight.
So, I can get your points. I do understand what Tyson is kind of saying, in the sense that you landed a shot on me that 99 of 100 times is never going to land. The cleanness of that shot, I will never allow that to happen. But the fact
Abbas, stop. We're not doing this again. Stop that.
Just bear with me. Let me land. Let me land.
Fluky punch.
No, I'm not saying it's a fluky punch. No. See, this is where you think I've got it wrong.
Is that Abbas or is it Tommy Fury? I can't see.
No. Don't ever associate me with that man.
Molly May. Is that Molly May behind you?
Hey, listen. All I'm saying is don't associate me with Tommy Fury. We have an issue anyway. That's beside the point.
That's your listen. You lot up north. I get it.
Morecambe's just a little bit down the road for me, but
I know it makes sense.
But all my point being is the cleanness of that shot, the ability to land it. I appreciate what he did. I don't think Tyson. It's not necessarily a case of Tyson giving him the opportunity, because that takes away from Usyk's shot or just him as a fighter. My point being is to land that again. I don't think Tyson will let his guard slip enough to be able to do that. And I do get what Tyson's saying, but yes, he's doing his normal Tyson Fury type of thing. What I will say is, I think Usyk boxed 95% of a perfect fight for me. And to replicate that, I think there's more that Tyson can do than Usyk can do going into this rematch to be able to win. And it wasn't so far of a far-fetched result. It was a split decision. So there's a lot in this that I think people are just overlooking Tyson Fury a little bit too much for my liking. And that's why I'm going to go to Tyson. I think in this fight, when you watch the first fight, I feel like he wasn't as dominant as he could have been, as in forcing himself more on Alexander Usyk. And if you watch it, there's too much for me where he's bouncing off the ropes or playing the ropes rather than being the aggressor. And there's too much dancing for me in this particular fight. He was over showboating in a fight where the standards are so high that you can't let your guard slip. And I felt like he did do that a bit. But the one thing I think he'll be able to do, and where he can potentially win, is control the distance more than Alexander Usyk, because his jab is so quick and it's so snappy for someone of his height and weight, that as much as he does that, and with the body work, I think that's where Tyson can actually go ahead and win this fight and just not be careless. If Tyson Fury isn't careless, I think he wins this fight. But Shanti, what do you think Tyson does to right the wrongs?
Yeah, you actually hit the nail on the head. I thought you were Spencer Brown, like getting sponsored by Gold Star for a second, but then you brought it back with some really good analysis. But I agree. Control the distance. Maybe mess around with Usyk really well. For a guy who's so slick, he's always been very good at, you could call them the dark arts. You know, the kind of old Manning. He's very good at putting his body weight on you. And because Usyk's almost like a precision surgeon chess player, that's the sort of thing I think could get a bit under his skin. Not take him completely off the game plan, but even if it's just for 2 minutes of the round, Tyson might then be able to, as I say, build up that momentum and just slight mind games. But the problem is, we're talking into the future, and this is the point of the podcast, but does Usyk care? Has it ever worked with him ever? Do you remember when Tony Bellew almost? Oh no, he didn't. He ended up on the floor when AJ was going to be the one to beat him. When Chisora, he didn't fight well. No, it literally, I don't think matters. I think he is
the only man that was unlucky is Daniel Dubois. I would say it's unlucky because some will see it either way, but I do get your point, and I think
unlucky and outsmarted.
Yeah, fair enough. He took the 5 minutes. And I think that's where AJ kind of also went wrong a little bit with Dubois, where he could have taken time as well, but he rushed into that. That's a conversation for a different day.
Can I add? I do think you're right. I do think Usyk may have a slight issue to the body. He has been caught a few. It is the one thing I think people could look at from previous fights and say he might. Some people clearly take shots to the body well. I'm not sure if he's great at taking them. No one enjoys it, but you know what? You get what I mean. I think it could be the one place, if you really can land clean a couple of times, that can slow him down and cause him issues, and that might be another way in for Tyson. And then, you know, break him down to the body, and then he can start to just kind of reel off the shots to the head and move on from there.
Just get a few comments in before I want to get Ray's thoughts on Tyson Fury's corner, because for me this is a annoying thing of Tyson Fury. But just a few comments coming in. Ray's been brainwashed by the Ukrainian propaganda.
What propaganda was there? We literally
Tyson said it. Tyson said it at the end. He got the decision because his country's in a war.
Tyson also said he donated his purse to charity. We still ain't seen the proof.
We don't need to see the proof. We take the man's word for it.
No, there's a new one. He hasn't spoken to Paris for 3 months, apparently. Apparently he hasn't spoken to Paris for 3 months.
This is the same guy whose dad said, I ain't spoken to Tyson Fury in months, and he was right behind him. You think I can... If Tyson Fury goes to Sky's Blue, I will double check just in case.
But I'm getting a bit of stick for this one as well. I'm forever a Sortiers.
Welcome, boys in the building.
Yeah, I'm not happy with
you're more affiliated with the Furies than Joseph Parker is.
Listen, all I know is on E-Day, me and Tyson shared a moment. He smiled at me, and since then, I've been locked in together with him. But
you can be a man of the people and still take an L. It's all right. Listen, man, AJ is a man of the people. He took an L.
Well, not just 4 L's, but that's beside the point.
That's when you face the best.
We could say that Tyson's had 2, because I will forever stand on, he lost that first fight or was it the second fight to John McDermott? If you go back in the annals of history, I think John McDermott won, and I remember at the time a lot of people thought that John McDermott won. So if we're gonna bring up AJ's past fights, then we have to have balance, don't we?
If you're married, you don't want a 3-month camp, so you don't need still to do it. Bro, I'm not even no comment, man.
Talking about the corner, I like Sugar Hill as a trainer. I do. But I think there's a problem where you put too many people that, I'm not saying boxing brains, but are overly associated with you from a family standpoint. We're talking about John Fury. How much have to take initiative, Tyson, and say, look, I appreciate you, but for this one, I want to hear more of Sugar Hill. Ray, I'm coming to you with that one.
Big John Fury is not going to shut up, so it's just a problem you're going to have to deal with. Because you don't think that Tyson has been thinking this for years. It's not like this is the first fight that this happened and there's been a miscommunication. Whether it's the third Wilder, when did Big John have started saying his displeasure with Sugar? Was it from the third Wilder fight? He's been had an issue with him for whatever reason, and at first I thought it was just an act so he can make people think there was dissension in the group. But then when you watch the last fight, it was just like, oh, you really think you're the head trainer? And so it's like Sugar's probably thinking to himself, I don't care enough about you to like argue my case. Tyson's probably thinking, sharp dad, like let Sugar do his job. And John's there thinking, this is my doing, so it's my way or the highway. And this is just a concoction for beef. And I don't know if Tyson seems like he knows his dad, like no matter what, you can't tell him what to do. So it's just going to be more of the same. And Tyson's just got to hope that he uses his initiative in the ring to get it done, because the corner work sure might not.
Could I add to that as well that this may sound like an anathema to some boxing fans, but I think Tyson is, and Usyk too, they're in maybe 40 boxers around the world who almost don't need a trainer. I think Tyson Fury has been boxing since he was, I don't know, let's say 6. I think his IQ is out of this world. I don't really think these fighters need trainers. They do, you know, it sometimes helps to G them up. But I think if you were talking strategy and game plans and actually seeing something, oh, next time he does that, I'm going to capitalize on it. So my point, sorry, I was rambling. My point is he needs just Sugar basically to streamline. It should be sure. I love hearing trainers who, I was a big fan of the old Adam Booth thing, which was, you know, he used to go, it's child psychology, go down to usually David Hayes level, look him in the eye, talk very kind of slowly, patiently. And it's probably 3 bullet points. Tyson, start popping that jab out. If you make him miss, then you hit him with the back. You know, it doesn't need to be just screaming of knock him out. Oh, no man born of his mother. And, oh, you're a gypsy king. He knows, like, all of this stuff are just words. Tell him actual boxing strategic things, you know. Tyson, start moving those feet. Make sure you don't get caught on the ropes. If you do, pivot off, hold him, put your weight on him, then get back into the center of the ring and then start dominating. The end. Like, drink some water, get back out there. You don't need the screaming. But Ray's unfortunately right that we have seen his father, unfortunately, at all of Tommy's press conferences, just like tearing T-shirts off and pretending he's going to fight people behind 4 bodyguards or security guards. So I'm sure there'll be more madness going on in Riyadh.
I was going to say, so I actually agree with you. I think when you get to a certain level, you just need some constructive feedback. That's it. When it comes to John, like I said, with Tommy, because Tommy is, and I'll say he's flat, he's boring. There's nothing about Tommy Fury that excites you. You need John there to be able to sell the fight or the event, for example. You don't need that with Tyson Fury. And I think when you look at this one, for what the fight actually is, you don't even need to do any antics. And I think we're getting that. But also, I do also believe Tyson realized, look, this is one of them guys I can't really get in his head. I can't really say a lot of rubbish. But just my name, his name, our pictures, and what's on the line sells itself. So we don't need to overcomplicate anything anyway. So I do get your guys' point with that. The next thing I kind of wanted to say is, and this is going to sound crazy, but do we actually need this rematch? Because hear me out when I say this, because I kind of have a feeling with Bivol better Biev as well, where when some things happen, they can be just put to one side and guys go their own way. When you look at the heavyweight division, it's not for undisputed. So what was initially on the line isn't on the line again. So is this fight actually needed? And if so, who needs the win more for you guys right now?
This is Turkey saying, I really wanted Fury to win. I'm so upset Fury didn't win. So Fury, here's another chance to make you get my money back. Because in reality, Turkey wants Fury first, AJ, like everyone else does. However, I feel like if Fury loses, AJ versus Fury will just be a Matchroom / Queensbury production. If Fury wins, that's when Turkey will be like, okay, I'm involved too. So that's the real truth. It's because Usyk won't get him his money back the same way Fury will. But what I do like about Turkey though, is despite that he is not rigging his own events to make sure Fury wins, which is good to see because absolute power corrupts absolutely. And it's been good to see so far, even at times to Turkey's displeasure, he has just allowed boxing to be boxing. He hasn't stepped in. He fought Bivol one. He hasn't, give someone the death stare to be like, you better, count this for Bivol or off of your head. He's been upset, but he's let things be fair. And let's hope he lets things be fair, even though I still feel like the ref was an agent that helped Fury. But I just want Usyk to get his just due, to let him ride off in the sunset. I think this might be his potential last fight, or he might do one more against
Dubois.
I don't even know if he wants to face Dubois again. He's already beaten him of recent.
I would say this, and I'll ask you as well, Ashanti. If Usyk comes through with this, for me, I agree with you, Ray, but I think Turkey will still be involved in the sense of I want to host it in Saudi Arabia, but I feel like the only avenue for Usyk then would be Dubois, because you get that fight again and it's for undisputed. I don't think there's anywhere for him. But I will put this out of the line, even though Usyk is the champion, I think he needs this win more for the financial side of things. Because Turkey will work with Tyson Fury. We all know Turkey prefers Tyson Fury because of the way he acts. Like, that's his guy. And I think if Alexander Usyk loses, I'm not going to say he's going to wash away with him.
Nah.
But he gets put a bit more on the back burner compared to Tyson Fury. Whereas if Tyson Fury loses, Tyson Fury is still Tyson Fury, where we will make AJ fight no problem whatsoever. But Alexander Usyk loses, you may not necessarily see him for 2 Saudi cards, whereas we know Tyson Fury will probably be on the next one outside of the February card, where whenever they can negotiate that fight. So that's why I personally think, even though he's the champion, Alexander Usyk will probably need to win this fight more for the financial side of things.
I don't know what type of life before Shanti goes. It will depend on his lifestyle. I don't know whether he's got a flashy lifestyle or not. Some people, the money that he's already got, he might be thinking to himself, I'm set. This might just be extra money to be like, this is for the next generations. This ain't even for me no more. But like I said, I don't know his lifestyle. If he's got a lavish lifestyle and, he's built acres upon acres upon acres of housing, then yeah, he might be like, I need this fight to complete the works. But on the other hand, if his, outgoing costs aren't a madness, he's probably thinking to himself, this is just a nice bonus on top. So, what
Ashanti,
about you?
your thoughts?
Ashanti?
Firstly, I thought your original point, I hadn't even thought about either of those 2 rematches. And when you break it down, whilst I'm really excited for both of them, we don't actually need them. But, I see your point, and I agree, actually. We don't really need them. I thought I really wanted Beterbiev Bivol, but we could actually kind of do without it. And
I want Beterbiev to retire, man. It's enough, man.
Same. He did his knee in as well, didn't he? About a year ago. And without going off course, I know we're British, so we may have a bias. Think about how many great light heavyweights there are that could become world champions, and I would love to either fight or become, off the top of my head, Boatsi, even Craig Richards, Dan Aziz, Callum Smith, Yard, Ben Whittaker coming down the pipeline. I'm sure there are loads more we could name. And actually, we've got these 2 awesome fighters, but we've seen it already. So instead, we're going to wait for another 7 months, plus, let's say, 2 months afterwards because of the glow of the fight, 9 months, when some of these guys are 31, 32, and they could be really pushing on. But yeah, I don't think Usyk, needs this. I think he loves fighting. I think he loves proving people wrong. I think he's doing it for his people. Has anyone read that article when they were talking about what his robe means? Have you read it yet?
No.
Written into his robe or stitched in, it's basically all to his heritage. It's like, I think there's a Cossack fighter, and then he's got a certain number of like headdresses on it, which is indicative of his 22 fights, and then his 14 KOs beneath it. You can tell it's a really interesting article. I think he knows what's going on in his own country, and he knows that a win not only will make the people happier, but it keeps Ukraine and the Ukrainian people in the public side. Do you see? I know it sounds really silly because it's a war, it's way more important, but I think he does, and I think he wants his people to be proud of him. He clearly cares so much about his culture and heritage, being Cossack. If you research them, what they were as warriors and fighters hundreds and hundreds of years ago and millennia ago even. So yeah, I think he likes proving people wrong, and who doesn't like a bit of money? You hear the numbers getting thrown around, and you may have a lot of money. You can always do with having.
You can always get more.
A bunch more, and maybe he wants to put a quarter into charity or give some to the government to help with what's going on with them. Who knows? We don't know. But yeah, we don't need this rematch. And I actually think your point about Tyson's Turkey's guy. So's Frank. Tyson and Frank are almost one and the same. He's obviously Spencer. They're all very close. If Tyson lost in the first round, he could still get a fight in 6 months, as long as, whatever his chin or whatever happened, as long as he's fine. Because he'd just chalk it up to, got caught cold, I'm still Tyson Fury, I'm still 6'9", and I'm still the Gypsy King. I've still been the undisputed champ. You know who I am. And Turkey would go, this guy sells pay-per-views, AJ, Dubois, X1, Bacoli, whomever. So yeah, I think Usyk oddly needs this win more than Tyson does, because Tyson is, if you're just talking economics, he's a draw. He's globally very, very well known. In America, he'll be huge because of those 3 Wilder fights. Obviously massive in Europe, I'm sure, big in the Middle East too. So yeah.
I'll just quickly ask a few more questions before I want your full predictions. But Ashanti, I'm going to go to you because I don't think I've asked this. Talk about Tyson Fury's resilience. But I want to get you to break down, how much do you think them 3 Wilder fights really took out of Tyson Fury? Like, really, actually, if you think about how many times he was knocked down in them fights and then just getting back up. And I want to say the speed of how quickly them fights kind of came, because in between there was the Otto Wallin fight as well. So just break down for me, how much do you think that really took out of Tyson Fury?
A huge amount, which is odd to say because he's got 2 wins and a draw from those 3 fights, but he was knocked down 4 or 5 times across the 3 fights. And we know Wilder hits like a mule. When I was younger, I didn't think it was a real thing, that you could you can win or draw and actually it can shorten your career. But you get into too many firefights. I again, don't want to veer off track. I love Sonny Edwards as a fighter, as a person. I think the Bam fight, I think physically and mentally, I think it has, whether he comes back in a year and a half's time, lets the body heal, I think it took some of the confidence away. And I think he's been punched into, I don't want to use the word, but submission for a little while. I think it is. And I think Fury the same. I think, no, you can't get punched that much by a hellacious puncher and think that there'll be no residual after effects. And I'm just talking into the air, but I think Tyson 5 years ago, perhaps after only 1 Wilder fight, might not have had such a great effect from those clean Usyk shots. He might have been able to ride them out a little bit better, rather than, he looked like he didn't have legs for a couple of rounds, because Usyk, it was an awesome round. And we've seen Usyk do this before, haven't we? He is one of the best fighters off the top of my mind at just taking momentum away from a fighter. That you think Tony Bellew, I laughed earlier, he was doing quite well against Usyk. You look back now, he was doing well. I think it was part of the Usyk plan. I'll let him get a bit of confidence and then I'll start shutting him down. AJ wasn't doing terribly, and then he just starts catching you and you go, I won the last round, why am I now being...
Yeah, exactly.
And I think, but to go back to your point, I think it's had a real effect on him long term. That Wallin fight, when he got, is it the terrible cut?
Yeah.
Almost got stopped. It takes it out of you. If you think of it like a gas tank, and we have to include not living the life. All of these things really start to catch up when you start to get those niggles. Apparently he's 36 now, Tyson. 36, and a man who put 10 stone of weight on. That wasn't muscle and protein, should we say? It wasn't. It wasn't. He wasn't in the gym.
He's never been that. He's always had a bit of love handles.
No,
but I understand what you mean.
Losing that when we add them all together, the Wilder and Varlin fight, the weight gain and then weight loss, and being 36, there is a big difference between.
Catch up to you. It will catch up to you.
There's a big difference between 36 and being Usyk. Who have you ever seen him look out of shape? Have you ever seen him look like he's struggling? I think he probably goes to church, spends loads of time with his family, and like runs around fields in the Ukraine and goes on holiday. So yeah, I think that could be one of the big factors that people aren't mentioning. So again, another great point that it's the lifestyle and the fights.
The final thing I want to talk about just before we do wrap up and get a prediction is breaking down the fight in thirds. So if you look at if you take the first fight, for example, 1 to 4, it was a case of you could have it 2-2, 3-1, however you want. Then you saw that middle part where Tyson probably got better at the exchanges, and then the latter end of the fight, which we've actually seen with with Usyk and AJ, where something switches with Alexander Usyk, and he's able just to take that initiative and take control. Me and Ray have talked about this a lot, but how important is it to essentially end on a high against Alexander Usyk for you, Ashanti?
Extremely. I think for both parties, it's extremely important that it's 2-2 after 4, because Usyk does not want to be 3-1 down. I don't want to be a propagandist or a conspiracy theorist, but we know who the judges and the promoters' favourite is out of the two of them. You were saying it earlier. Fury is the big draw here, and if everyone could click their fingers, they'd want Fury to win. So I think Usyk needs to make sure that the things I spoke about, getting into a rhythm, Tyson putting his weight on him, and also making sure that the fight doesn't look like it's a Tyson Fury fight. You may still be, we've all seen it, where there are close fights, but actually the person who's a boxer and mover is getting forced into a firefight, and that's not going to work long term. So I think it's really important for both of them that they have a decent start, because I think 5-8, Usyk's going to start taking over. So it's very important for Fury not to be 3-1 down, because he knows that Usyk's going to come on, and then by 7 you could be looking at 5-2 down, and you're thinking, geez, I might need a knockout here, and he's far too slick. It's another minor thing to add. Usyk being lighter will help him in the later rounds as well. We would imagine his footwork will, he's probably going to be well, they think Tyson's coming in heavy, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's 21, he was saying. 21 stone or something he was talking about.
Now, is that of muscle or fat?
We know Tyson. It's
muscle fat.
Muscle fat. I'm going to call it that. I'm going to call it muscle fat. That's the best way to explain it.
I know what you mean, though. It's going to be, but it's not. He's not coming out looking like AJ, but it'll be a bit of both. Yeah. So Usyk starts to take over. So I think it's really important for Tyson to be 3-1 up or 2-2, but he's starting to, he's letting the shots go. It's starting to flow, and he's starting to get the crowd on his side, and it's looking like his fight.
Just quickly, this little comment here, because I do want to go to how this fight actually ends. Usyk doesn't knock anyone out. Now, I kind of get this, but I'll say this. And this is going to sound weird. Even though he's a heavyweight, it's not to say that I don't look at him as a heavyweight, but compared to the quote-unquote traditional heavyweights, the size will never be there. The weight will never be there. So I can understand why he may not necessarily knock people out when it comes to that. And he has to methodically break them down over 12 rounds. When it comes to this fight, is there a chance we get a finish from it? Do you guys think that there is going to be a finish in this fight?
I mean, hopefully if the ref doesn't stop Usyk from finishing him off, then yeah.
Well, come on.
It factually happened. We literally saw it happen. Where am I lying? Tell me where I'm lying.
Fresh 12 rounds. Fresh 12 rounds. Does
I
Tyson
think
Fury
where
get
I
stopped by
lie.
Alexander Usyk?
I think so. I think Usyk's going to get to him late, 10 or 11, because I understand the comment, but I think we are really just picking holes in something that doesn't need to be picked. Can you imagine being, as I mentioned, I think 22-0, 14 KOs? When he does retire, we'll have to do a whole show just on him, because what he cleared out the cruiserweights in the WBSS, beat every single top cruiserweight.
Real
Fate
warrior.
beating Fate having trouble with Chisora, so no heavyweight would be scared of him, and then came up and just started clear. No, I think he did. I honestly think he
Do you
did.
know
I-
how disrespectful that is to one of my heroes?
Imagine if Chisora actually just gave him a hard fight. Imagine if it was just a case of, don't get me wrong, do I feel like he had more? I think it's a combo. I think he thought, let me not show my best against Chisora so people will underestimate me. But I also do think, whilst underestimating Chisora, it was kind of just like, oh, whoa, hold on, this guy's not
It's a transition here that
yeah, no, Chisora probably giving it to him more than he expected, and he's probably there thinking, all right, cool, I might have to step up more than I was expecting, because he probably thinking Chisora was done, and as we've seen with Chisora, he's not done unless you shoot him. So
I mean, Usyk is relatively undersized for a heavyweight, but I'll just mention three names: AJ, Fury, Dubois. Average 6'6", 6'6", like the three of them, 18 stone. We're gonna, let's just say, all punch like Tyson Fury can punch. You can't be 6'8" or whatever he is and 19 stone and not, if some in 10-ounce gloves, if you catch someone, hurt someone. And he's beaten all of them. I know we could mention the Dubois, they're not fine, but on paper he's beaten them all. So I do think it's a bit like, as a comparison, if you're a football fan, someone wins the league by 8 points and everyone goes, don't score as many goals as other teams, though, do they? Okay. Who cares? We love a knockout. I don't really care. We know that Usyk's not a real heavyweight. He's gone up because he cleared cruiserweight out. Probably wants to be a bit more comfortable as he got a bit older. He probably could make bridgerweight. We know it's not a real weight, but he really is much smaller than these guys. I don't expect him to be just concussing all of them and leaving them hanging out of the ring. I don't need to see that. He's got everything else going for him. So he beats everyone up anyway. And he, like Ray said, he had Tyson Fury. Have you ever seen Tyson in that much trouble before?
Yes. Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, fair point. He won.
Lock it off. End the episode. You're taking the mic now.
Tell me how I'm taking the mic when he was
apart from the first fight, where, like you alluded to earlier, Tyson got too cocky and he got caught. The second fight was an absolute master.
The second fight was whatever it was.
Fight, Tyson chose to fight like an idiot. He chose to fight like that. He didn't need to. He chose to fight with him for, maybe he's just a glutton for punishment. Tyson chose to fight away that he shouldn't have. And it was always funny when people were praising that third fight. I remember thinking to myself, why? That second fight was way more better and masterful. That third fight was all blood and guts, unprovoked. Like, you didn't need to fight like that, and you chose.
That's what we love. But my point still stands. He was in trouble in that fight, because realistically,
the funny thing is how you describe how. The irony in that, how you describe it.
I knew where you were going with it, because I was going to flip it back at you.
Nasty work. I saw it coming. I saw his brain whirring, thinking, I'm going to shovel this one in.
Stop the nonsense, man. Stop it.
Right. Before we wrap up, predictions. Ray, go to you first.
Usyk, either split decision, because there's always going to be one judge that's going to give it to Fury, even though he'll get dominated, or Usyk late stoppage.
I'm going to go Usyk round 11 knockout or TKO. I think the ref might have to call it a day. The thing that would really wrap the career up, however, would be the old towel coming in. His dad having to be on the canvas going, oh, come on, stop it, lads. And Usyk's just there, just kind of Ukrainian power, just Sevastopol, just loving life. So that would be the dream, really.
Inshallah.
That's disgraceful. But that being said, this is the year Tyson Fury wishes us all a happy new year. He's gonna wish us all a Merry Christmas. He's gonna give us a Ramadan Mubarak, even though we're 3 months out, and he's gonna lift 3 of the 4 belts. Do you know what's crazy? I'm gonna say unanimous decision, Tyson Fury.
Abbas Fury.
If a decision was to ever go to Fury, it's gonna be in his favor, unfortunately. Unlike Usyk, who's fighting the cards and the whole building.
See, this was my worry. This was my worry about this, because I kind of have a similar take when it comes to Beterbiev and Bivol, in the sense of, I guess we do have a favorite by Turkey standards and who they would personally like to win. And Ray's kind of just said that, and that frustrates me. But at the same time, look, if I didn't support Beterbiev, I would also understand it.
Wasn't Turkey's favorite Bivol in that, going into that?
Yeah, that's my point. That's my point, which is why I say in the Bivol Beterbiev rematch, Beterbiev has to be so much better, in the sense of, I have to make it so prevalent to people that you cannot rob me of that win. Because if it's close, I genuinely believe right here, Dimitri Bivol would get that result. And I kind of do get your point. If Alexander Usyk is not definitively the winner and it's close, I'm not going to be shocked by Tyson Fury getting the decision. But that shouldn't also discredit Tyson Fury from getting the decision. But I know some people will turn around and say that automatically, that we're going to discredit Tyson Fury from it. So I do think Alexander Usyk, funny enough, has to do more in this fight to get the decision.
Yeah. Can I add one final point? I don't want to launch into a monologue, but if Tyson does lose, I know it's a promoter's job, but I can't hear from Eddie Hearn telling me that Fury Joshua will be one of the biggest fights in British boxing. It will make me want to cry or weep in a corner, because I don't need to see Usyk's cast-offs fighting again. It'll just be 2 old drunk men in the back of a pub. It's not going to be one of the biggest fights ever. It'll be for no belt. It won't even be for pride at this point.
We're lying. Well, listen, let me tell you something, and Abbas will attest to this. When they were doing Brook first Khan, I kept on saying adamantly, no one gives a crap. We are beyond this, especially after Brook lost to Crawford and the way he lost to Crawford. I remember them saying, this is a cash grab. No one wants to see this. I don't care. That first press conference, I done a 180 and I said, listen, I'm involved, man. I am involved. That was a fun night of British boxing, even though I'm still upset with Brook, because I still feel like he held up his own career just to get revenge on Khan, which that's a whole nother, we'll end up in a whole nother episode. But what I will say is this: AJ first Fury will still do numbers regardless. And if that first fight is a banger, run the second one. Because I'm still Team AJ regardless. And I'd rather, if they wanted to say who's the best of their generation, Usyk can be on top, and then I'd let AJ, even though second doesn't always get a trophy, I'd want AJ to come out on top of that, because that's my guy. I'll say that.
No. I agree with Ray, because I was gonna say that, Ashanti, if you had been there and you had seen what Ray was thinking when they announced Khan Brook, the group chat, I said it to everyone. I promise you, just let it have the first press conference, and I promise you, the moment them ticket sales went on, it sold out within an hour.
Oh, sorry, I should have been clearer. I'm not saying it won't sell out.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So many casual fans. I have so many close friends who, the guys that watch boxing when they're not drinking, but, they like the big fights, maybe Eubank, whatever. It will sell, but I'm talking as a boxing fight, purely boxing for boxing fans. It's not going to go down in the annals of history. It will just be like 2 oldish blokes who are kind of going grey and keep losing to younger guys, and now they're fighting each other because they don't have anywhere else to go. But it's not going to be one of the biggest fights. It can't be.
I'm going to give that analogy, but I'm going to more give that towards Ben and Eubank, because that's a fight that is only built off the coattails of the parents. It doesn't really mean anything. This one still does, because look, both of you guys, you've lost to the same guy. But at the same time, at the end of it, one of you was able to come out on top against each other.
It's quite funny because we feel the same about different fights. I think the Ben and Eubank fight will be a massive fight, because just go back and watch the fights with their dad and 20 million on ITV.
Yeah, but that's my
You
point.
just imagine somehow English just turns up at the press conference. He's there. He's got a sheriff's badge on. No one's sure why he's got one on. He's in joggers again. Nigel Benn's there at the side, calling his son Connor Nigel, just to remind everyone they're related. And he's just there, just like signing contracts on TV, going mental at Chris, just being like, "Oh, you ducked the third fight." Rah, 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 rah. Like, you know, Chris has turned up in a KFC jacket again. Hopefully he'll have some kind of like injection jacket on that he'll probably make, you know, get personally made. No, he's the sort of person.
He better be listening. That's a great idea.
He would do it, wouldn't he? You've seen the tweets. He keeps calling him a head cheat, like he did it, I think, yesterday. Or no, he did, like yesterday. And it would be pandemonium. Well, Eddie Hearn as well. Ben Shalom with his new teeth, just there, just like, "Oh, I don't want to get involved, but Eddie's an old man. Why is he even here?" It will be electric.
It would be, but that holds zero value to me, because at the end of the day, it's two weights between each other anyway to start off with. So we're just finding a weight to throw them into. Whereas
I don't
this
agree.
one,
I think Conor was 147, but I've seen his eating habits. He eats a lot of protein and stuff like that, and I think he'll bulk up to the weights. You know, he goes to a lot of farms. So, you know, Conor's put a lot of good weight on. He'll get himself up to 160. You know, he's got good doctors around him and good people around him. So, you know, he's really putting some size on.
That's kind of, but don't get me wrong, I'm all in for it. Like, I will be in London. Like, I'll pay the extra money to get the Airbnb for a week. I will be in London for it. Similar with this. But yeah, guys, before we quickly wrap up, just want to put this out there. We're nominated for the Sports Podcast Awards for the Best Combat Sport Podcast. You know what to do, guys. The link's in the description as well. It's on our social media platform. So yeah, go ahead, give us a little vote as well. Ashanti, it's always good catching up. I still remember the BCom days. I was getting that train from Burnley all the way to London, King's Cross, and then didn't know where I was going afterwards. Apple Maps told me the tube to take. But yeah, it's honestly been a pleasure catching up with yourselves. Are you still not on social media?
No, I'm still not. But everyone vote, get involved. There's no better podcast to vote for, so you've got to. The guys are growing. They're doing some awesome things. So yeah, make sure you vote for them, so they're not just finalists, but they're winners.
I appreciate that. Listen, guys, we're going to call it a night today. There's obviously more content coming throughout the week about this particular fight. Until next time, like, share, subscribe. And Saturday night, we will be all wishing you a happy new year. Peace.
It's another band. All the Muslim cars now, whichever get up. Light up my card with a sweet one, please. Someone flicks me a bag,